Welcome back to another Trade Alts technical analysis. I got the pretty big VIP group in here with us today. We're going to take a look at some altcoins, probably some stocks, and maybe some Bitcoin at the end. Let me go ahead and share my screen so that you guys can see it in VIP. All right, is it up and running? You guys see it okay?
Looks good.
Nice. All right. And yeah, feel free to interrupt me if you want. It's not a big deal. I'm just kind of trying to record, again, this isn't a live stream technically. It's going to show up as a regular video to everybody, but if you guys want to, guys have anything to say, if you guys want to put in your requests, feel free. We're going to start over here. Well, I guess I have Adam up. I know we might as well just look at it right now. There's nothing like super interesting. I will say, so the reason why I wanted to do this today, number one, I want to check the kind of like the pulse on altcoins, okay? And like I've already kind of went through this last night. That's what really made me want to do today's stream, because I saw a lot of really actionable items that were they were ready to, there's quite a few trade setups on the horizon, especially looking at Ichimoku that I haven't seen in a while. It's been a while since we've had something exciting going on with alts, and some alts already had really nice moves. But yeah, like there's a lot of really, really good stuff. Whoops. Let me check this. All right. Yep. Still recording. So anyway, on Adam, we'll just start here. And then if you guys have a list of stuff, again, put it in chat. Happy to go through it. I already have a few requests. And we'll just kind of work our way through them. Got no timetable on today. But anyway, Adam, you got kind of, you're going to see like a lot of these charts are going to kind of they're going to look similar. Some are going to be in much better positions than others though. This is one that I think, that I've been, I've personally, again, not financial advice, but I've actually been buying a bit of Adam here, kind of like layered orders throughout this range. Hasn't been, haven't had anything like, any crazy type of move yet. But what I do like is, again, it kind of made, you have this horrendousness, which are a lot of altcoins, kind of over time look like this, right? And then you had a really nice pump end of last year, and then we've kind of retraced all the way back down to this base. So, structurally not the best, not the best overall really looking chart, but I do like that we're building a base. Same thing here, kind of building a similar, very similar looking base, might I add. And again, we're like kind of butting up against the cloud here, and this is really one of the setups that I like to see, right? Like, and where this is, again, look at where price is in relation to cloud. Arguably, like you have a potential edge-to-edge brewing. You had one here and barely closed, and then you see the next day this kind of is like a signal that this absolutely is not ready to start. But it's holding support pretty well, and I like to see things grinding along cloud like this though. It's just, and again, forming forming a beautiful range here after significant downside. And it's, again, kind of like looking, you have significant downside, you have kind of a nice range, nice, sideways range, and then you get a nice pop. I think that, kind of like shaping up, or this is shaping up to be, I mean, and there's things that look better than this, and I'm sure we'll come across some. But I just liked, I like this formation quite a bit. And the thing is, it's a bit risky kind of building a position early, before, obviously, like what I want to see is for this to actually get inside a cloud and, start working its way up. Like that's, so like I'm basically front running that. But again, I like the range. I like the move down. I like the levels. Again, you're kind of like back in this range here. And I think it looks pretty good. So there's better ones out there, I would say. But Adam is just one that I kind of like was going through the charts, looked at this, said, okay, it's interesting. Started to like ladder in a bit in a position and kind of just sitting, just kind of waiting. But yeah, like obvious, kind of like an obvious target when you get in here. At this point, really going to be looking around 550, 560, something like that, which is nice kind of like confluence for this level, right? So if you're looking at kind of like a SR level here, came down, nice support bounce. Then when this failed, it was obviously just, broke down, formed this very nice range. And now you're trying to, kind of like pick a direction here. Again, until it's inside cloud, not really actionable. In terms of trend, nothing really overly exciting happening here. I've seen this formation many times over the years, and it's one that I'm willing to take kind of like an earlier bet on, but it's not it's not necessarily, I would say, maybe the right thing to do. But again, what would be way more exciting is to get in cloud. And then you have the nice confluence with, again, kind of like this natural support resistance level. Even coming, even if you brought this back all the way over here, you can see that I think this is very significant high. Which, again, that's like a very easy, this is, it doesn't have to get into cloud. I mean, this thing could still kind of keep grinding down, but it just kind of like looking at where Bitcoin is, where other alts are. This one seems like like it's probably going to be pretty close to some kind of edge to edge here. Getting above the cloud would be a big deal, and I do think that you'd probably get a really nice move. Again, you'd be back above cloud. You got a long way to go. You can see cloud is still kind of like even getting thicker though. That's not always. I'm not surprised to see this act as such a good resistance when you have a cloud that's shaped like this, but getting above it would be really, really nice. Even just from kind of like this SR perspective, right? It would look really good for a big explosive move, but you are kind of not near that at this point in time. But again, Adam looks pretty good. Let's look at, we can look at Bitcoin really fast. I don't want to like spend too much time on this, but I just think like for context, it's important to kind of know where Bitcoin is in relation to the stuff that we're going to be looking at, right? That way you can kind of like judge for yourself what you think. So these circles, I think that was from a weekly time frame. Let me look at a weekly real quick. Yeah. So this was the mean reversion that I was really wanting to see. And so like you got a perfect mean reversion on the weekly here and a really, really nice move. Guess what? It didn't happen in my circle, so I immediately should probably stop streaming. No, I'm just kidding. But we got it later, right? So got your mean reversion, held up pretty well. Wasn't as clean of a bounce as this, but again, came down to your equilibrium, and you're getting an extremely nice move. Got this close above Tenkin. This is really good. It's hard to hate this. It's hard to hate this. Let's just say this looks pretty good. Yeah. So kind of like Bitcoin, and it's not to say that we can't have pullbacks, we can't have pullbacks or whatnot. And a lot of the videos that I do, they're very focused on immediate price action, right? The stuff that's like actionable within a day or two, and like I'm looking a lot more zoomed in. Today's video is really about higher time frame trend, right? That's why I'm using Ichimoku right now. It's about trend. It's about kind of zooming out a bit and seeing like what the general direction and what the general feel kind of looks like. And to kind of like get your higher time frame base in, and then again, like as you're trading lower time frames, you can kind of have a bit of a higher time frame bias, in order to position yourself accordingly. But this looks pretty good. So doesn't mean there won't be some pain points, but if I had to take kind of a look at this, we're back in this range again. We're still holding above 97, which is crazy. And like a lower time frame level that I put in Discord was 96. As long as we're above 96, it's like there's absolutely nothing to for me that I'm kind of worried about. But I think how close did we get to? We were like 52 bucks shy of 98k. I think the daily level is a little bit above 98k. But yeah, overall this looks pretty constructive. Higher time frame looks pretty good. Go to a daily again, which is probably my favorite time to look at this. And like there's just like immense, like this was a very strong move, right? So like if you remember, if you remember the bottom, Okay. And you remember, for those of you in VIP, and you remember me going over this on why I closed my short when I did. So I had that big short from 42K. I had a lot of other shorts on the way down, right? But like I had my biggest position, one of my ever like biggest positions ever was that short from 42K, and I closed it here. Like this is why. So you got a nice, you finally got, what, like a nice bottom, kind of like a nice bottom formed, and then change of behavior. Start to close above Kijun. Here, fast forward, close above Kijun, right? Under cloud. So like you have a move down, prices below cloud, got a nice range that kind of formed here, and then now you're like looking at pushing back inside a cloud, right? So like here, nice candle close above, under cloud. So it's kind of signaling that like things are starting to potentially turn around. You actually got like a rejection off of cloud itself, and then this candle, which is insane. Like this is very impressive candle. Just knifed right through it. And so far, on a closing basis, you've held above, right? This looks, again, there's nothing that looks bad about this. Like you're getting, your TK lines are starting to come up relatively aggressively. Chiku span is above price in cloud. Your cloud is still bearish, working on flipping bullish. It's going to take a bit of time. But like, and again, like this could pull back to like this could pull back to some lower levels, and kind of like spend some time chopping around here. But it doesn't, again, this looks pretty good. And if you know like how things, how Bitcoin, how crypto likes to be sometimes, you might not necessarily get that, So I'm not trying to be overly bullish here. But like just kind of visualizing, like when I did the video the other day, we were still range bound. And I said, okay, and I think it was like literally, yeah, it was an hour after monthly close. And I was like, usually around big higher time frame closures like that, it's a pretty good time to get a move if you've been range bound. And we did. We got the move out literally the next day. And again, this is like kind of, so you have your impulse up, range, impulse, range, and now are you working, again, there's still a fair amount of resistance here. I'm not discounting that, but it's like now you're trying to break out of this range. So either way, I think like as long as you're above cloud, this could certainly, kind of like chop around a bit. That's all fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Again, I'm looking at trends specifically, right? The thing that's nice about this is trying to turn around. Warning flag still the same as the last video. You start to close inside a cloud. That's not really something you expect or want to see here. But for the time being, this looks really good. So that's Bitcoin. Weekly looks very good. Daily looks really good. It's again changing. You're trying again. It's back above cloud. Only thing that hasn't happened yet is your cloud is still bearish, but that's it. Everything else looks really good, and it's holding support really well. ETH, you're literally at, you are literally at your Kijun. And it's the first time that ETH has been at its Kijun since January. When it was inside a cloud still. But ETH is behind. And it's been behind, like this is one thing, this is one thing I've like punished myself, over the last year or so, I would say, but like I've traded ETH more than I probably am proud to admit that I've traded ETH. And there's just been easier, cleaner trades elsewhere, but I still like to punish myself because I've always traded Bitcoin and ETH. So it's like, I'm going to keep doing it, but I don't like, there's just easier trades to be had elsewhere. This looks not the best, right? Like, again, are we trying to form some kind of bottom here? If Bitcoin looks the way that it does, I would venture a guess and say probably. It's just, I mean, you look at ETH BTC itself, this is horrific. Like this is extremely, extremely bad. Even at points where I thought, you know, like this is probably a good bounce. Like the bounces that I would assume, like that I would want to have seen come from that were just smaller and like even smaller and worse than I would have thought. It's like this is terrible. And it's still, again, like, are you trying to find a bottom here? It's trying. But this is, you know, this is very bad. And I know that we're nearing some pretty, you know, I think 1.6 is like the old 2016 range low or something like that. Again, it's trying once again to like get above its 10 kin and give you some kind of reversion, which we really haven't had. I mean, here it's like you see like how aggressively these come down. It's just, this is like a very, very, very bearish trend. It has not been above cloud since middle of 2024. And look at the drop, by the way. This is another reason why I really, really like Ichimoku. You like take kind of like where it broke below cloud. And I mean, since then, it literally down 66%, and it kept you the correct you know, frame of mind anyway the entire time. And again, here it's trying. This is good to see, kind of, you know, it's like there's nothing to see here really, but this is the first kind of step, right? It's like the first attempt at trying to break out of this like horrendously bearish chart. This is the first step. Next step would be getting above your Kijun. Third step would be actually getting inside a cloud, which again, the cloud very thick, likely to be really, you know, the cloud itself probably likely to be pretty good resistance. But eventually, once it breaks into here, you could have a like months down the road. I would say, you know, maybe a few months from now is my guess. I don't know. This is going to take some time, more than likely, but maybe later in the year, this is going to shape up to have a potential like excellent edge to edge. Like we could see Ethereum, especially if Bitcoin's making new all-time highs, something like that. Like at some point, ETH is likely to have its catch up, right? And it could be a really nice move. In the grand scheme of things, it could still, you know, this chart could still look absolutely terrible, but you could get a really nice bounce from there, something like that. But yeah, ETH USD itself, again, kind of lagging what a lot of other alts have already been doing or are doing, right? So again, there's first step, trying to close above here. It's probably going to spend a bit of time. You know, getting inside a cloud would be like, this is starting to take shape, but it's hard to be excited about this, but it's starting to take shape. And again, this is probably setting up for another, you know, edge to edge type of move, which you'll see is kind of the common theme for today. There's a lot of edge to edge discussion. And that, you know, again, ETH, that's putting it back around 2,500, which is a really big level. That's like a really big region for it. So long way to go on ETH. ETH looks terrible still. Well, I'd say it looks less terrible, but it's behind. It's just behind a lot of other alts. We can look at Fartcoin real quick. This is literally in the midst of an edge to edge. And, you know, did pretty well. Kind of like grinded cloud for a bit. Now you're like accepted. You're formally in. This looks pretty good. You know, probably be looking again up to like a $1.45, $1.50 region, something like that. But this is one that's just so interesting. Like, this kind of tends to run when everything else looks terrible. You know, I can't tell how many times like the rest of the markets look pretty bad, but Fartcoin will be up 30%. Just really weird. Kind of like runs counter to a lot of other stuff. But yeah, like this looks pretty good. I would say, you know, is it too late to enter here? I probably wouldn't do it myself. And this is one that I am actually LPing, which I think I said that a while ago, but I am LPing this, so I'm happy to see this move up. I think my range is honestly almost out of range though. I think like the top of my range is like $1.31 or $1.30, $1.31, something like that. So like I'm almost like out of that. But it's been a nice ride up. So yeah, big level, about $1.45, $1.46, something like that. You get above that, then you know, you'd be looking at some other, you know, you'd be looking at a golden pocket test, something like that. So your R1 pivot is literally your cloud, top of cloud. That's a really good confluence. So yeah, I would say get above that. It's gonna look pretty good. I mean, it does look good. So Tau, this is one that somebody asked me to do, right? Same thing. Like you're a bit like really nice move. You're in cloud. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, this is already a really, really impressive move. This is a really impressive move. See that? Here's your 1618 right there. Basically a perfect tap. Pull back. Two 618 is basically top of cloud. Yeah, I would say for this, oh, is there anything particular that you want to know about it, by the way, or just my like general thought? I mean, this looks good for higher. I would say you're late. Like, I mean, enter. There's not a trade here for me to enter like right now. Um, like even your edge to edge entry was a bit late. I mean, this is just like straight up, right? Um, it looks good. It's in cloud. I think that I mean I would say I mean if things just had like a really nice pump over the next 5 days, something like that, like I would be taking some off myself if it managed to somehow get up to 450. I don't know. I mean, it's possible. This is very good looking. The next step for this is getting above cloud, right? Getting outside of cloud again. And then it would, it would have like a real chance to have a much larger move. This one is, yeah, it's a little tough. I'd say like kind of like a capped upside where I would be very, if I was long, I'd be very keen on getting out or like taking a lot of profit as if it managed to get up somewhere around 450 like in the next few days. If this has like another leg up for whatever reason, this is a nice move. Would it be too, I don't know. Is it going to pull back if the rest of the market is holding up strong? Probably not. Maybe it just kind of goes sideways and works its way out, maybe. This was a little tough because it's like in the middle of cloud, right? It's literally like kind of like equal on both sides. Tron looks okay. Bitcoin looks, it's like the market looks pretty good. Equities are having a really nice close, or probably closes in 45 minutes. It's like it looks pretty good. Not a whole lot to say. I would say one thing I would say if you're trying to get into a position, um, where would I be interested in is probably here. Something like this. And I'd be looking to bid this region. If I really, really, really wanted to trade this and I'm not in a position, you got pretty nice confluence here, bottom of cloud, you got your TK lines on here, you got the point of control for the entire damn thing. It's all like this is a really good region. A lot of like pretty good confluence here. If this does manage to pull back, I think bidding this region, and your stop probably doesn't have to be too far below here, to be honest with you, because if you start to lose cloud again, lose your point of control, lose your Kijun especially, then this thing's probably gonna come back down and test at least 225 or something like that. But again, that's it. It's not what I expect to happen. This looks great. This looks good here. Not much complaints. I'm just saying if you did manage to get a pullback, this is about where I would be looking to have my orders ready. But if you're already long, not a terrible idea to like maybe trailer stop up a little bit and yeah, like over the next 5 days or so, if it could hit 450, that would be like a hell of. Hopefully that's helpful. Trump is the other one I think you wanted to look at. Um, so I know that this move up had to do with I think he announced that like the top 220 Trump holders or something like that, or would get to have dinner with him, something like that. So there was like a massive, I think it was literally this day. There was like a really big pump. So it was very news driven. Before that, did it look good? No. It's never known an uptrend. It's basically been, and this is missing. This is on Coinbase. So like you're obviously missing the rise. Okay. So maybe this is not like the best chart to use, but this is like you're obviously missing the rise. And it was a hell of a move. So the chart looks like way worse than it really is, but it's still not great. But here, like you can see on a daily time frame, it is butting up against the cloud, right? The bottom of cloud. I'd probably have to go down to like a 12-hour, and this is, yeah, there you go. So now the 12-hour, interesting enough, it made it through cloud. This was literally the announcement. And cloud has been solid resistance like the whole way through, like literally like perfect, right? But you are about to, like, this very next candle that is going to come in 4.5 hours to your daily close will put you outside of cloud. And there's some interesting things working. Now again, like the nature of this move, it's kind of like I don't get overly excited about it because of like how it happened, but technically speaking, like look at that chart, it's you have your bullish Kumo twist that took place. You're about to be, make your way out. Now again, if this had like gone above and kept going, it would look a lot better. But you're about to be above cloud for the first time since probably ever. I mean, yeah, on this, literally the first time. And so that I would say, you got less headwind there. Chiku Span's going to be inside a cloud for a while probably. I don't, again, because of how this happened and knowing the circumstances behind this move, I don't have like much of an opinion on this one. But if you're just treating this for, looking at this through the technical analysis lens, you see exactly, I mean, this is like picture perfect so far, but you're about to exit the cloud in 4.5 hours. So new candle will open up. I think it'll be above. Actually, I guess I can't say that for sure, unless there's a really big move down. But you'll at least have a chance. I think you'll at least have a chance to have it open above cloud, and then you'll see what happens. That during that next 12-hour period. But if I had to venture a guess, maybe it probably stays range bound for a bit. If this one goes below, I would say like 1160 area, I would be very, very, very concerned about a deep retracement on this. But yeah, I don't know. Does that help? Hopefully that helps. So far so good though. This looks good. If you went down on like a lower time frame, maybe an 8-hour, something like that, yeah, holding up. Nice test here. Basically a test. Looks okay. And again here, same thing. It's above. If you go below 1160, something like that, and flip like your 8-hour clock, that would look a lot worse. But for now, looks okay. Looks all right. Let's look at something else. Let's look at Sol on a daily. So this is one that I kind of have my eyes on a bit in terms of kind of like trade set, like here you are like trying to have your first close inside of cloud. It's literally, I think it's just below it. It's trying to fight it. But I think that this is one, again, you have a just a little bit of downside. Just the 67.8% pullback, no big deal. But I like this. It's really trying to put in a pretty good low here, I think. And butting up against cloud, kind of the same thing, resistance. You're trying to get your first close inside. So does it in 4.5 hours? I don't know. It's like right on the edge though. I will say that it has a very clear target, and the target is 196. Was that 195, 196, something like that? Again, kind of like this similar, if this kind of like works its way inside a cloud, and you're not, for whatever, if you want to like be conservative about it, it's kind of the same approach. This is very similar looking, kind of like a similar looking, maybe something like this. You try to like layer in some bids, bottom of cloud type of thing. I just think like this looks okay. So compare this to Ethereum that we just looked at. You see a difference, right? Like this is a lot more, I would say, like constructive. This is closer to like a real nice breakout than Ethereum is. Ethereum is like nowhere near this, right? So I just want to draw your attention to that. But yeah, like Sol looks like it's trying. It's close, right? Again, kind of a nice bottom. You got a massive move to the downside, which, by the way, again, the top of this was literally, I think this was literally Trump. Inauguration day, is that? Oh, day before. But this is when he launched his token. It's the beginning of this year. I'm pretty sure. And it was, it's on, the Trump token is on Sol. So absolutely crazy. And then you had a series of derivatives that launched by the family, and then it's kind of been a bit of a mess ever since. And I was joking during the time that this was happening with my friends, and they're like, what, imagine this is the top. Just for like an event wise, it's like a natural thing. You're like, man, this feels really toppy, doesn't it? Literally, President of the United States is launching his own token on Sol. It's like, man, this is like, and yeah, it was a pretty nice move down. But again, I do think this is pretty constructive looking, and I think that you're close to an edge to edge. I mean, you're not close. You literally are very close to that setup. So, yeah, I think if you get the edge to edge trigger, again, like if Bitcoin is looking good and continues to push higher, it's unlikely that Sol is gonna dump, right? Unlikely. Doesn't mean it can't, just unlikely. And if it can get inside a cloud, trigger the edge to edge, I do like it to 195, 196 over top of cloud. It's like, I think that's a very clean setup if given. Let's see, Litecoin. Look at Litecoin. This one kind of the same thing, kind of weird. This is a weird one. This is a really weird one. Got your mean reversion. As far as your Kijun test goes, this is a weird one. Not particularly helpful. Cloud is flat, 102. Not the nicest thing I've seen. Not the worst thing I've seen. Not the nicest thing I've seen. Not much here. Just try to wait. This takes a bit more time to kind of like smooth things out. Get inside a cloud. Change my tune a little bit probably. But yeah, Sol, I like this a lot. Like this is very close. I think AVAX similar. Yeah, see, very similar. Just grinding cloud. And this is one of those, like this is one of the cleanest ones that I've seen yet. You are literally trying, right? Again, you've been grinding cloud this whole time. Wait till you get a confirmed close inside a cloud, which looks like tomorrow might be, maybe over the weekend, something like that. You'll get, does this move grind lower? Maybe. Which is why, like, I definitely, like, I would not really want to pull the trigger yet. I want to see it actually, like, close inside of cloud to give you the edge to edge. But this looks pretty good. The thing that I like about it is, again, like there's a pretty decent amount of potential upside, right? So like, let's say you get something that's pretty close to here. I mean, you're looking at a 40+% move. which I would say, I mean, I hate to ever use the term easy in trading because it's, it's not usually that simple. But as far as like a quick, where would I, you know, like kind of like what would my target be? It's very clear. It's about $30. Like that would be a pretty nice move if given. The thing that I like about it again is, it's respecting the cloud really, really well. Got your bullish TK cross, just waiting. Chiku span above price. For um, you're waiting for the close inside of cloud, which could happen over the weekend. To give you that trade setup. So like again, very actionable trade setup on the horizon. So this is one. Is there any others you guys want to look at? And yeah, still monitoring Magic Fib time in October. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I do think that no matter what, I think around then will be, I kind of want to see how we make it through May, to be honest. I think that'll like help shape up for what I think happens over the summer and kind of like, like it's usually a pretty good indication, at least for me, like it'll help clear up a bit of kind of like what I think will happen going into October. For now, a little bit unsure. So I'm just reading Discord questions, by the way, for you guys watching video. But yeah, I'll do my next like high time frame Bitcoin analysis. I'll talk more about the fib times for sure. So any other alts you guys want to look at? What are we doing for time over here? 36. 88. This is probably gonna look weird. Yeah, I mean, kind of like it's not super helpful pump, and it's trying. This is one of those like strategic reserve tokens, right? Like US, it's gonna hold Cardano or whatever. It's been a nice move, and it's it's trying. It's not the cleanest. It's definitely not the cleanest. Maybe on like a deeper tracement or something, it's kind of like visit one of these lower levels around like 55 cents, something like that. If it kind of rolls over again, might be a good play for a bounce. But again, as far as trend goes, this is trendless. Literally, and this isn't even like a really say it's just like a one maybe massive range, but it's just this is trendless. It's not doing much. Well, it's doing a lot. Which like something like this for funny, we were talking about trading bots before I start recording, right? Like something like this is like wow, like that would be really good. This is the kind of like volatility that would be great for a bot or something like that. But here, like looking for a swing on Cardano, I would say it's a bit late. And again, there's no trend. I would say Ichimoku is not what I would use to judge this, but it's just it's not the cleanest thing I've ever seen. Algo, kind of similar. It's like you're just getting you're literally today likely to confirm your bullish TK cross. It's kind of like pushing up against the side of cloud. You have a very clear target here at 32 cents. Like this is another one that maybe is worth keeping on your radar, that it's close to a trigger. A little bit weak here, I would say. And probably, I don't know. Again, kind of like the thing I like is like a lot of down, and then you're trying to form your range. This is what gives you like these beautiful edge to edge trades though, right? It's like, it's literally this kind of price action. Like this was an insane move up. I think Algo was one of those that like people were assuming like this pump. I think people were assuming that Algo was an American made crypto, right? It was like going to be part of the basket. And I don't I don't think it is or something. I don't know if it made the initial cut or whatever. I don't know. But it certainly, the chart looks like it didn't. So, but from, again, this is shapy. This is another, I would say, pretty nice potential clean edge to edge setup that's on the horizon. Not there yet, but close. And, we'll see what happens over the next couple of days. Dot, yeah, we can look at Dot. Similar, but lot like still, like you're still, I mean, like the trend here is still bad though, right? And look, if the rest of the market is pumping, it's probably not going to leave DOT behind. You know, like it'll probably be pulled with the rest of what's going on. This one on its own though is it's trying, but it's just not I mean, even there you kind of see like a channel, right? Like it's not the best. But again, if this goes with the rest of the market, yeah, I could see it get pulled up. It's just you haven't had your bullish TK recross yet, or bullish TK cross, I should say. It is above for the time being, but not doesn't look like, you know. Again, I don't know. You have to wait and see. Does it get inside a cloud? It does. You can see the forecasting dots here. Your TK lines are going to cross at some point. I'm assuming, unless this starts to roll over again, which then, I mean, that's the thing I'll say though, is yes, I think that DOT is, you know, it has a similar setup to some of the other alts that we've talked about today. Judging by the rest of the market, you know, I think I'd say like it has a chance at giving, you know, one of those edge to edge setups. You know, when I see stuff like this, so first of all, like I would probably, for me, I would look at trading the easier stuff, the stuff that I look at, I say that's a good setup. Like I'm gonna put my capital to work and things that I write, like stuff that I'm like, I think that has the best chance of working out. If you gun in my head said you have to trade this damn thing, you have to trade DOT, you can't trade anything else, you know, that like, that's basically what I'd have to say about it. It's like it's trying, and you know, I wouldn't do anything on this myself until you at least see this in cloud. This is kind of one that I look at, and it's like if you see any weakness with it and the market was to pull back, this is one that I could see like really pull back, right? Like it's literally, I mean, this is like structurally like still very bearish, right? This again, it's trying. So I would say like this structure here, literally for the last week or so, is probably the most positive thing that I've seen so far. It's like you have a move up, you have a range that's being formed here, and you're trying to change this trend, right? So it's like in the more of like the beginning stages of actually trying to set up for a reversal. So yeah, it's definitely not the worst thing I've seen. I think there are things that are closer or already a lot more in progress towards, you know, a nice move higher, or setting up for a potential move higher. This is kind of, it feels like it's not quite ready, but you know, we'll see. Could change. Could certainly change. Just at this point, it's like, yeah, it's you know, there's probably better things to look at, but it's close. I think it's getting closer, put it that way. And I do like, again, the shape of the cloud. I do like this. You know, this isn't like, it's not like horrific, but it's just it does look like it's trying to bottom, I will say. And it's a fair way to say it. All right. Any other alts? What do you guys want to look at? There's a bunch of you in here, so you guys can speak too if you want. That's okay. For those of you on YouTube, so like you're probably wondering, who am I talking to? You guys can see them now in this. So this is our VIP Discord, and yeah, so you can see people in there watching the stream live. Anything else? It's gotta be. What about Link? Let's look at Link. Kind of similar, you know, again, like you kind of see like how a lot of these charts are in similar. Okay, so like here's kind of a good thing to look at. So here's DOT. All right, so we'll do a little bit of like learning, I guess. Here's DOT, and you can see that it's trying to, you know, I already did the analysis on this, but it's trying to bottom. It's trying to you know, I would say that it's trying to be constructive. It's trying to kind of like put in a low here, but it's still relatively, you know, it's still even kind of like a little weak in this area. You go to link, it's a similar structure, more aggressively though, which I think is good. I kind of like to see like the more aggressive downside to get, and usually like a lot of times those give you like the bigger moves higher. You know what I mean? And this looks to me way more constructive than dot. So again, go back to dot. You kind of see it's just like a slower. You had like a nice I had like a nice like range that was trying to be developed here. Then, you know, you kind of like get you could maybe, I mean, that's a terrible line at the bottom. I guess maybe it's easier if I kind of like draw this out. So like something like this. And this is just very rough visualizations. I'm not trying to do exact levels here, but just to illustrate a point, right? You kind of have this range that was being, you could argue that it's a range. You got your, you know, is this like your deviation and then acceptance back above, which by the way, so like if you look at bottoms that form like this, link, you guys remember that link, the nice link, crazy low that we talked about when it happened? Do you guys remember that? Dave, I know you remember that. Yes. So, like, when you look at it through this lens, this actually looks a bit more productive, right? But you kind of guys see how this still is kind of weak here, you know? But as long as I would say you're above this region, which is, you know, I would say that's a pretty good region, around 380 or so, it's okay. And like the edge to edge here kind of makes a lot more sense now. You guys see that? Like when you throw on, you know, kind of incorporate some of the other tools that we talk about here. But that's like how decent bottoms form, in my opinion. Some others might disagree, but like this is the kind of stuff that I like to see. But for dot, it's just not quite there. You know, I would say again, you're like, you got a nice move up. Arguably, again, you don't even have a bullish TK cross yet. Is it coming? Probably. But like, as long as you're above 380, you got a really good chance. You lose 380, it looks infinitely worse than that, right? Then it's like, okay, like I'd be a little concerned if I was holding dot. But as long as you're above this, you can make the argument that this is trying to bottom, right? It's not the cleanest, it's not the prettiest, it's not the best, but it's trying. So go to link. You see kind of the difference. So again, you have a very strong move down and you have a clear move above Kijun and it's holding Kijun. It even gave you a back test 2 days ago and it's holding this range really well. It's a pretty tight range, but this is setting up, right? It does not have your bullish TK cross yet. So I say it's setting up, but you can look at the forecasting dots. Things very likely to happen as long as this continues to consolidate. Interesting thing for link. So if you look at the date, right? So you see where the cloud edge is and you look at where would price, so if this range remained, where would price have to break through cloud to get acceptance inside or potential acceptance? It'll put you around Monday or Tuesday. So early next week. So link, I would say by middle of next week, my guess is this is probably going to resolve itself. Just by the fact of, you know, again, just looking at about approximate time of where even if this range holds up and doesn't do anything, doesn't go up or down, it's running out of time. So again, this is an actionable trade that's going to happen within the next week, I would say, or at least give you the chance to, which again is why I like really wanted to do a stream today. But again, edge to edge on link will put you about 1860. 1865, something like that, which would be it could be a nice bounce. And again, if you're bullish, if you're already long link, you see this, you probably feel a little bit better. It's not out of the woods. It's not, you know, again, I want to see it get back inside a cloud, get your bullish TK cross. Chica span is above price for the time being, this purple line here. So it's like, it's shaping up though. But do you guys see from like an Ichimoku standpoint that link is in a better spot than dot? That's just what I want to highlight. Anyway, Oh, okay, let's see here. Yes, yeah. I was thinking about doing a separate stream for that tomorrow, or like a separate video, but I mean, we maybe not. I don't know. We can take a look at it. We see what we see. So I have some magic green line that I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you. I'm gonna pretend that I put that there on purpose, and like I knew that was gonna be the bottom. No, not true. But anyway, this is kind of like you know, this is just a nice retest point basically. So that's all it was. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I was, you know, like I did that on purpose, but it ended up. It looks nice, doesn't it? Um. So this one I want to put on my settings. Oh, by the way, so I don't know. You guys see the difference? You guys like the brighter cloud? So this is, I think this is like the normal kind of cloud that I use. Or do you like this? Or is that the one? There's the one that's brighter. Is that the same? Or is it the other one I was playing with earlier? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, we'll mess with that stuff later. But anyway, I'm gonna turn on this thing. Okay. Oops, got my drawing tool on here. Daily, I mean, yeah, so like, again, probably gonna be running. This is crazy. So, all right, okay. So guys, switch gears a little bit. So now we're talking about ES. Um, yeah, wow. So you got your move down, right? Through cloud, gave you your mean reversion. Absolutely disgusting, nasty move to the downside, down to my perfect level that I had marked off there. And then you got a secondary mean reversion. So how's this for Ichimoku? All right. So again, mean reversion, nasty nude. Mean reversion, nice pullback, break and hold above. Hey, this is looking pretty good. This is looking pretty good. What's the next step? So on the daily time frame, the next step is getting back above cloud, right? Which is like, again, this is a very, very brutal, nasty move down. You know, structurally speaking, are we out of the clear? I would say no. You know, you have I would say it's not, again, not till you really get back outside of cloud that I would say that, you know, I would give the all clear or anything like this, but it's a nice move. It's certainly a nice move, but man, Ichimoku here on the daily did a great job. Like, my goodness, very, very, very good job keeping you out of trouble. But yeah, as far as trend goes, you know, this is gonna take a little bit more time to kind of resolve itself. And this is like insane volatility here too, right? Like, this is like a crazy, crazy, crazy volatility. So the next step is probably, you know, again, getting back outside of cloud, getting cloud to flip green again, getting your bullish TK cross, which you can see here, the forecasting dots are telling you like it's, you know, it's going to happen. It's very likely to happen as long as you're, you know, holding this region for, you know, next few days or something like that. You're probably going to get your cross, but do you get, you know, a bigger move out? This, we can actually look at like higher time frames. Yeah, really nice. Really, really nice. This is strong. So again, last week's close, okay? So giving you so here you got your mean reversion, all right? Talking about from like your prior all-time high, got to move down to got to move down. Really, you know, same thing here. Got your mean reversion after you got back above cloud. Mean reversion, all-time high. Crazy, crazy, crazy trend. Here, got your mean reversion, couldn't get back above your Tenkin, right? Tenkin couldn't get back above, lost your Kijun, and then it was just like floor dropped out, right? Now, cloud still bullish. Chigu spans below price. So that's, you know, it's going to take a lot of work probably to get that to be undone, is my guess. But this is really a really strong move, which, by the way, we're closing in an hour and 5 minutes. Like, this is likely going to end like a really, really, really strong move. Here, kind of curious, you are at the 6-6 basically, like you are in the golden pocket at this moment. Yeah, I mean, your next, I would say, like after this, be looking back around probably like 58.50, something like that, for another kind of like potential resistance area. Um, but yeah, again, like Ichimoku did a good job. This close above Kijun and this strength, this is typically a pretty good sign. Again, weekly, higher time frame, you know, this is kind of what you want to see. I mean, this is what you want to see. Like this looks good. Now, so again, like this is something that could take some time, right? So you look on the daily, go back to the daily, tell that we're not like, we still got, what is this? Nine, say like 2 weeks, roughly like a couple of weeks potentially before, even if we go range bound, even get a bit of a pullback. Like you can see, I'm not expecting anything overly crazy. Even a pullback here might even be a decent opportunity to like 5,500. If you got a pullback back into like your TK cross or something, I could see that maybe being a potential opportunity. But we're gonna, my guess is we got a couple of weeks of potential. I don't know if we get too far outside of where we are. It's hard to say, but the top kind of like, again, the cloud will put you 57, 60, something like that, 60, 60, 70. I wouldn't be too surprised to kind of cool down a bit. Maybe even have like, I don't know, maybe even like a little bit of a pullback or something like that. I wouldn't, then this is for the next week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that. I wouldn't be too surprised to see this cool down maybe a little bit. Before making a decision, and honestly, I think again, if it gets above cloud daily, this probably flips bullish. Everything's gonna kind of shape up, look a bit better. Chico span will be above price again. Like it's gonna give you a much better signal for like more trend continuation. But yeah, weekly looks pretty good. Even a little bit. Look at that. So this is your monthly. The last time you came down to your monthly Kijun, it was flawless. You got a massive move higher. I'm curious to this line up with anything. It would be like a much higher move. Um, but yeah, I mean, you got this. It's just a mean reversion. You got another leg up. Guess what just happened? Another mean reversion, right? Got a really nice mean reversion. Literally right back to your monthly Kijun. And this is a really strong, so far, this is a good open to the month. Looking at this though, I would say if I had to pick something bearish about this, or I would have to build a bit of a bearish case, is you had, I don't love candles that look like this. And I'm trying to remember where we had one on. Was it Bitcoin or was it was something recent that we had a candle like this? And I was telling you guys that like when you see candles that look like that, it's not the best thing. Um, I wouldn't be too surprised if we actually do fill in at least part of this wick. I don't think we necessarily, now I could be wrong, but I don't necessarily think that we just absolutely moon to new all-time highs literally from here. Could be wrong. But I wouldn't be too surprised like over the summer if we actually spent a bit of time building a bigger base here, kind of like we did here. Kind of like we did here, right? Like we got the nice move up, and then you spent, 5 months, and on month 6, then you got your breakout, right? So like I wouldn't be too surprised if we actually spent some time building a bit of a range here on the monthly before maybe some upside. The thing that's different about this though is you look at your TK structure. So you had like this C clamp that kind of formed here. You had your pullback right back to where you want to see it, and then you were grinding underneath your Tenkin. Here you're clearly above. That's a pretty big difference. But maybe like maybe even this month I could see maybe a pullback back to like 53.60 or somewhere like your monthly Tenkin again to kind of like fill this in a little bit. I wouldn't be that surprised. So anyway, this looks, I mean, it's hard to hate this chart, right? And if you're, I mean, look at this thing. This thing's just up only. It's literally up only, right? It's hard to be bearish on stocks for any length of time. You're going to go through rough patches where you have pretty significant pullbacks. Sometimes they take time to take care of themselves. I think somebody's hot micing. Ty, I think you're hot micing, sir. But you know, like you have a, you know, a nice pullback here. It's just, it takes a bit of time. That's what I'd say. Like, it's, I mean, but let me look at the damn chart. Like, it's pretty good. So yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not a big fan of this, but I love the reaction. I love the level. I just think that, you know, again, maybe over the summer, we just wouldn't be too surprised to spend a bit of time filling this area in a little bit more before, you know, maybe another try to the upside, something like that. It could be massively wrong here, but I just think that, like, you know, I don't have the statistics off the top of my head. You know, I don't have the statistics for this, but I would venture a guess and say when you see candles that look like this, more often than not, you know, it's, you come back to fill in a lot of this. At least, you know, again, I could see that 5370 test, something like that, to at least a bit of a pullback before maybe, you know, getting ranged and a bit higher. But I could see us kind of cooling off for a little while over the summer. Could be wrong, but that's how it feels. Let me see here. Ty asked a question. I think it's Ty because it just says T with 3 dots because I'm recording right now, but I think it's Ty. The question on risk management. It seems there's a lot of setups that are based on the same philosophy with Ichimoku. I would agree with that. I like the philosophy of risking 1%, which is great if you're doing it with different coins. However, if those trades are all on the same edge-to-edge facade, yeah, that's a really good question. So he's saying, so going back to the alts that we just looked at, and you know, I'll put this in here so you guys, I think you guys should be able to see it. Okay, it's this question right here. Now you see like the 3 dots that happens whenever I'm recording and I'm in Discord. But he's asking that, look, like there's a lot of the same setups on Ichimoku, like the edge-to-edge setups I was talking about earlier. So he likes the philosophy of risking 1%. So, and that's kind of something that, you know, it's, I mean, as I say, it's like pretty standard, but like I talk about it quite a bit in my risk management tutorials. So I like the philosophy of risking 1%, which is great if you're doing it with different coins. However, if those trades are all on the same edge-to-edge trades, right? How do you size your risk? And so like that's an excellent question. You know, and the answer to that is there's not really a wrong answer. Probably not what you want to hear, but there's not really a wrong answer or necessarily like a perfect answer to that. I think for me, I would pick, and it kind of always will boil down to this, is like, so first of all, yes, there are edge-to-edge setups brewing like on the horizon, but you could see like how I went through, you know, I'll kind of just briefly just go back to them so you can see which ones were they. It was, I think it was DOT, right? So like DOT is kind of shaping up, but then I already explained kind of what my thoughts are around DOT versus Link. How I think Link is, you know, trying to kind of give you, okay, and I gotta change this back to those settings. So probably confuse people, but anyway, those were my doubled settings for stocks. Back to my crypto settings. But anyway, it's like, if like between those two, if I'm talking about Link and DOT, I think you could, like, for me, I feel better with the Link setup, right? Or I like the potential. Now this is still not there, but like, you know, if you're given if they are truly identical, the same setup, then, you know, me putting, you know, 1%, I guess, amongst those ones that I want to enter, I would be okay doing that. But if you give me choices like the ones I've gone over, you can see that they're truly not all identical. The edge-to-edge setup itself, okay, is very straightforward. It's very straightforward. And yes, ideally, like those are going to be really similar setups, but they're going to have slightly different risk rewards. They're going to come into the cloud at different points. How they got in the cloud is going to probably be slightly different. Like again, you can see Link versus Dot, right? They're in two different places, albeit like they are shaping up to give you a similar setup. So the short answer is, if I am only wanting to take, let's say 2 or 3 of those trades, but there might be 10 different ones that kind of show themselves, you're not, I mean, if you're comfortable with it, you could put, you could do all 10 if you really wanted to, if you feel comfortable with the setup, because they're likely to move at varying rates, right? They're not going to all move up 2% a day or something like that. Like you're going to have one could just pop and, who knows, be at the edge of cloud in 2 days, right? We see that. It just happens. And then maybe, that one hits your take profit early, and then you could, you get your capital back plus your profit, whatever. And then like you're sitting in the others. Or like, again, what I would probably do myself is I pick the best ones, because they're not all going to be like purely identical, right? Like truly identical. There's going to be nuances here and there that are like, hey, like this one's shaping up. This one has having a bit of a stronger move going in the cloud. It looks like, to me, I looked at that, I say the trend's likely to continue. I would be in that one versus one that I'm like, this thing's limping in the cloud. It barely, it moves sideways into it, just closed. And you know what I'm saying? It's like there's going to be varying degrees. I don't know if that helps. It's a amazing question, though. It's a very good question. And yeah, there's no like really easy way to say that. I hope or to explain myself, I guess. Hopefully that makes sense. But for me, I picked I would pick the ones I feel the most confident in risking capital on. And you know what I mean? Hopefully that makes sense. And like, again, not all clouds are created equal. Some might have better risk reward. Your invalidation on that might be tighter. I like tighter invalidations because that means I have to risk less in order to find out if I'm right or not. And like, the distance, again, I'll just do one hypothetically. Let's say that like, say that like this is your setup. Okay. Just pretending that like, let's say this closed in here right now, and I gotta get in a position. So like, this one, again, assuming this closed inside a cloud, and this, which this sort of like nowhere near this really being a thing, but I'm saying if you got your bullish TK cross, this closed inside a cloud, Shiku span above price, and now you're looking for your edge to edge. Like this, I'm just putting it literally where price is right now. This would be about your trade setup. So it's like 2.6, risk reward. That's pretty good. That's decent. Me personally, I like to see, I kind of like 3-to-1 better, So like, if there's a setup out there that's 4-to-1, maybe and so this, again, like you'd be risking, 10% stop loss. Maybe there's one that looks like this, right? And like, you're risking 7% instead of 10 or 11%, and your upside is better. So like, that's another way too, is like looking at the risk reward of the trade along with like, obviously how the chart looks, but like if you're looking at setups like edge to edge trades that are very like straightforward, like hopefully like that should be a part of that should be a determining factor for you too. If you don't want to take every edge to edge trade in existence, that should help you kind of sort through some of them. The thing I'll say about edge to edge trades though is that they're not perfect. They're, obviously some don't work out. So it's kind of like a stats thing too, right? If you find, over the years, you keep enough data, you find that X% of edge to edge trades that you take work out in your favor. Like the more statistics that you keep, of your personal trades, and knowing like all of the trades that I take, 73% of these trades work out. It helps you not only figure out which ones are worth taking, but it also helps you figuring out how many you should be taking too. Hopefully that's helpful. Great question though. My goodness, very good question. So is there any other alts that you guys want to look at? What's the time looking here? 1 hour and 9 minutes. I think probably, yeah, trading journal, like extremely helpful. I would absolutely agree. I think I'll probably wrap it up there. Hopefully you guys found this helpful. And, you know, again, the reason why I wanted to do this today is because I was going through the charts and I was seeing that there was some very actionable stuff coming up, and I wanted, you know, like we gotta jump on. We gotta see this. We gotta prepare for it. Yeah, I just think that there's some pretty actionable trades coming up, so be on the lookout for it. Anyway, thank you so much. You guys have a great day. We'll catch you on the next one.